It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. It's Feedback Friday. And this Feedback Friday, no, we are not talking about the U.S. election. No good can come from that. I do want to thank people for being pretty cool on Monday's video. I had no idea how that was going to go. Of course, I say this as the extended YouTube has now found it. And so I'm watching it get bombed with jerks, but that's okay because I saw the original impressions, regarding that. And I am going to do, an ongoing series of videos about sort of the almost a Lost Boys phenomenon that we're seeing that is sort of behind some of what's going on in the US right now. And it's not going to be critical because that's not what I intend to do with Manly Mondays. That would be ridiculous. It's about how do we meet the needs of men, especially men under 30 right now. What are the needs? What is really going on under all the performative machismo? Or the, near complete withdrawal from society, and try to figure out, because I don't believe government can solve that problem. Only community can solve that problem. You need the people around you to help you feel like you matter. And there's no shortcut to that. And I work with a lot of guys who feel like even wanting to matter is ridiculous or selfish. And I think there's a bit of a cycle going on, but more on that in the coming weeks. So I'm not ignoring your comments. There were some great comments on that video, which was a real pleasant surprise there. And I'll leave it there because it'll be an ongoing thing. But thank you, regulars, for being cool about that. So yeah, but as I've said a few times, somebody gave me money, just a regular person gave me money to play Veilguard, to give my honest opinions. And so I'm going to do it as I go along because I do think it's important to get out something objective before, it's a shit show right now. I'm not far enough in for there to be any spoilers. I've only played 3 hours at this point. So this is very, very first impressions, but I still have stuff to say already because wow, did EA blow the marketing on that game. So if you like this content, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/Leanna K. Patrons should have links to the Discord by this point. They should. Hopefully I remembered after I record this video. The impressions that I was given of this game were not the game I've played for 3 hours. And this is why I wanted to make the video now. For people who don't know, I was a huge fan of Origins, really liked Dragon Age 2, did not like Inquisition at all. In part because of the diluting of the world building of the lore. But also, I thought the so-called improvements to the combat were not. But I really didn't like a lot of the characters. They went kind of edgier on that game. And it was a little too, we're going to validate people's general sexual identities as opposed to creating characters that felt like full people. That weren't just, the number of men in that game that are just liars, The only guy I can think of right now who's not a liar somehow. Well, okay. Cullen is a drug addict. He's not a liar, but Cullen's been through some shit. And people keep calling Solas a liar. The thing I liked about Inquisition is Solas never flat out lies. He holds things back, but I really ended up liking Solas as a character. I related to him having to make shit decisions and being kind of angry and really lonely. And there's an example of a character you understand why he's racist, because he's got this job that is very tied to elves. He's not gonna mess with anybody who's not an elf. It makes sense, right? Why am I hiding spoilers for Inquisition? I'm so scared of spoilers because people are so freaky about spoilers. And one of the reasons that I was not excited for Veilguard, I said I was going to play it, but I'm not hyped. One, I didn't love Inquisition. Two, BioWare fans, guys, come on. As an OG BioWare fan, you newer BioWare fans have got to just chill. Not everybody has to like the game you like. Holy shit. Stop acting like it's a religious experience. And I'm like, I still got my box from the original Baldur's Gate back there. It's back there. I love OG BioWare, but holy shit, I hope I wasn't that annoying. And you gotta tune out the noise. And that, the relationship that BioWare has with its fan base and the way it's bullied by its fan base is a discussion for another time. This is about the game itself. You'll spend an hour in the character creator easily. I was warned about that ahead of time. Wasn't Eileen great on Two Women Talking? 2 more episodes of Two Women Talking with Eileen, and then Bianca's coming up. I'm super stoked. I've enjoyed both conversations muchly. But she told me, because I was streaming the game, I have some issues with my PC that it runs games beautifully if I'm not streaming. If I'm streaming, I had performance issues on Oregon Trail, and that shouldn't be the case. So I was like, what's it like on console? And Eileen said, I've had no problems with it. I played on performance mode, which means it prioritizes performance, so frame rate, versus, I think it's called fidelity, which enhances graphics. And I ended up playing on PS5. I'm very glad I did, because it is a gamepad game. It is a game optimized for gamepad. This makes me sad. It is the first CRPG I've played on gamepad, but it doesn't play at all like a CRPG. So I played Witcher 2 and 3 on PC. I played Baldur's Gate 3 on PC. I've played every other Dragon Age game on PC. But this is a console native game. It is. There's and it's not a traditional squad combat RPG. To me, Eileen said it's kind of God of War gameplay, and it is kind of, but it's got kind of the squad commands, kind of like old Ghost Recon games. And so it's more of an action game with RPG elements. It's a complete flip for me in the early hours of the gameplay is enjoyable. It's not just battles you slog through. It actually is pretty fun to whoop some Darkspawn butt and Construct butt. Color me shocked. That's a plus. The hair in the game is beautiful. I picked the character pre-build I customized just for the hair. For people who don't know, I like to make starting with Saints Row 3, I like to make my characters look like either like Nicki Minaj or Megan Thee Stallion. And so, maxed out the glute slider. It's not maxed out by my world. Same with I can't make a character that looks like me in Dragon Age. The proportions just do not match. I cannot get my body in Dragon Age. No one cares. And this is the thing. I am not the audience for this game. I'm 46 years old. I'm an old school gamer. I don't have the Gen Z anxiety awkwardness. I am not the market for this game. Nobody makes games for me. That's why I'm sort of amazed at Alan Wake 2 felt like a game made for me. That game, but that's an accident, right? Nobody makes games with me as a target. So I'm declaring that I am aware as I talk about going forward the parts that were sort of a mismatch. But the hair is beautiful. I got pretty close. The only thing I made look like me is eye color, because I was mucking around with the customization tools and wanted to see if I could get my weird eyes. Got pretty close. The outer iris is too light, and there isn't a middle iris that's yellow enough to get my eye color. I have fucked up eyes. So that was kind of cool. But there's definite build tools so that people can make their characters look like them, including top surgery scarring, which I find interesting. I think that's cool because it's not essential, right? If somebody wants that to be there, awesome. If they don't, it's way buried in a customization menu. So I don't mind that as an option. I have no problem with that. The tattoo options I found kind of live, laugh, love pillow. I didn't love them. I did a few just to see what they look like. Same with the scar patterns. They were oddly limited in that they're very samey, but at the same time, I mean, having like vitiligo and skin pattern options, that was really cool. So there's sort of pros and cons to the character builder. So character builder, really cool. Hair, really cool. Gameplay, surprisingly good in the early hours. It's not as cartoony looking as the promos made it seem. I don't know why they did that. It's not terribly cartoony at all. And again, the hair is really good. The characters as well, so far, pretty good. Not only with the like party member designs, though Harding's freckles are way too dark. I have freckles, okay? It doesn't look like somebody stuck chocolate chips on my face. Those are sun damage freckles. Like, what? I mean, Harding is very much like Kelly in Mass Effect 2, kind of filling the exact same role. So somebody at BioWare has a thing about that type of character, and maybe that's why I glance off of it so much, because it feels kind of objectifying and fetishy. People love Harding. Like, that's the thing. They loved both of those characters, but they were both sort of put in to flirt with and not take seriously initially, which is objectifying redheads. Were people too. Jokes aside about gingers having no souls. And is this me taking it too seriously? Maybe, but I just remember rolling my eyes at, oh yeah, you've got the cute redhead who you sexually harass because she works for you in Mass Effect 2, and everybody in the Inquisition worked for you, Inquisitor. So you can sexually harass, but there's no romance option. Great. Fetishizing redheads. Awesome. Love that. Sarcasm. And so there's a bit of alienation there, but the new characters, I don't know what Varric's hair is darker in this game. Maybe they'll explain it. There's a lot of attention paid to feet in this game. So suspected foot fetish on one of the devs as well. Why does this matter? I'm just showing how much attention to detail I paid. To the point that, like, I tried the fidelity mode. I was like, whoa, frame rate, no good. You get a greater performance bump with performance mode than you do a graphics bump on fidelity mode. So I recommend performance mode, just because a lot does happen in the battles, and learn to do the parry. They don't teach the parry terribly well. If somebody hadn't told me there's like a goldish, yellowish, feedback thing over the character's head, because it's just a do this thing, but there's so much going on in those early battles to try to make it exciting that I couldn't see the yellow halo in those moments. But the parrying, getting that right, it's a very forgiving timing window. And I'm playing on like adventurer difficulty, which is total midpoint. So there is some difficulty. It does make fighting the Darkspawn easier because they group stagger if you parry one. So makes it a lot easier to do. I'm playing as a rogue too, and I'm playing as an elf veil jumper, because I wanted to go full team Solus. I fully back Solus. They're still good in Solus. He's just got a dirty job to do. And, he's the best at what he does, and what he does ain't pretty. Also, he's short and bald, and I like that. But playing as a veil jumper does break the writing. And as good as the characters are, really like Nev, really like Bellara, completely different from my experiences in Inquisition, where I didn't like many of the characters. I started off thinking, Iron Bull looks cool, but he's such an asshole that I just couldn't. Like, too many assholes. Sarah, asshole. Black, whatever the fuck his name, Wall, asshole. Like, oh my god. Cullen? Solus? Cole was all right. But, whoa, the romance options suck. I mean, Josephine's romance was like half there. Cassandra was okay. But she came from Dragon Age 2 initially. So there you go. They're still diluting the Qunari. They're calling them a race instead of a religion now. I don't like that. It loses the poignancy of the world building in the Qunari, where they are a belief system, not, the Kossith race, which I think is, I don't know. I won't get into that. That's a video for another time as well. But yeah, Bellara, really seems autism coded to me. She's a tinkerer. And I think maybe they were just trying to make Aquafina in Dragon Age, but reads autistic to me, which means the info dumps she gives me about veil jumpers, which I don't need because I'm a veil jumper in game. Thanks, other two veil jumpers explaining everything to me. I started joking like, hey, don't elf-splain me. You're condescension. Bellara can do it because she's just info dumping. That's an autistic love language. But y'all, stop the condescension. The writing broke on this class. And the writing is overall, you expect the writing to be the most polished in the early hours of a game, because hopefully they've had the most time to work on that. It's not polished at all. It is amateurish. How can the characters be good, but the writing be bad? Well, they can design really great characters and not have good dialogue writers. And that's what I think happened. The character designs are great. The voice acting, you expect excellent voice acting in BioWare games. There is excellent voice acting in this BioWare game. Really, really, really good voice acting. And so far, voice direction. Because, man, do they make some clunker lines 95% work. But I'm sitting here going, this writing's bad. Like, bad. So it's like the upside down BioWare game. Action combat, decent, moderate to good. Writing, really rough. Like, really rough. And this is where I don't know if, like, it isn't deliberate bad like Alan Wake 2 was. I fully embrace the deliberate bad there. I was clear. This is just missing something. The bantering is not good. It comes across as out of character and too lampshaded. And again, these are all Gen Z target things that I just think really stereotype and don't give enough credit to that demographic. But it's stilted. It feels more like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which I enjoyed, but it feels almost like Dungeon Meshi has kind of more modern writing, but it never sacrifices character for a line. And it's that Horizon dialogue wheel style thing, which I've never liked. I don't understand what things are supposed to be. You're flirting with Nev, who I forgot to mention. I like Nev too, but flirting that early with Nev, I did it just to see what it was like, and there was no sizzle. It was too early. And her clothes are fire. Like, top notch, even though they don't have all the feathers from Tevinter. Peak Tevinter fashion, consistent from the comics, which made me happy. But yeah, the writing, the dialogue writing, and then the interactive. Because if you're going to do origin stuff, you think you'd get it right, that you weren't elf-splaining a veil jumper about veil jumping things and elf things. They're explaining the elf culture and religion to me, an elf who is a veil jumper in Arlathan, or Arlathan. They've changed the pronunciation on that fucking thing and expected no one to notice. It was Arlathan. Now it's Arlathan. Arlathan sounds more fantasy. It's like, what was that Doctor Who race? Satori, was that it? The actor went, well, I think I know, and it's pronounced this way, and they went with it, and they should go with it, because it does sound cooler. Second syllable sounds more fantasy sci-fi emphasis, so Centauri, Arlathan, not Centauri or Arlathan. That just sounds like you're mumbling. It doesn't sound lofty, but that's just me. But I hope it gets better. I hope that the veil jumper stuff, probably as you get into the game and that origin matters less, it will matter less. But it really does feel like this early part was designed for you to play as a Grey Warden or something similar because of the first choice as well. There was something I'm like, there's a thing I want to do here. This is what my instant instinct was. I won't spoil it, but it didn't allow me to do that. And it was so dissonant. I sat there going, this is an unsatisfying choice, because I think one choice is wrong and one choice is just stupid. And I can't do the thing that I really want to do. And apparently there's a choice that Grey Wardens get that no one else gets that makes a lot more sense. And that's just, come on. This is a AAA RPG and you fuck that up? What the hell? We know the development was tortured, but it shows. So that is my early impressions of Veilguard. Some really good. Overall, I am enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. The weaker writing still feels very much like this is just, a company that doesn't quite realize it's dead. Hopefully, Veilguard will do well enough that they'll be able to get back on the horse in the writing. But writing in BioWare games has to be solid. It has to be. Because traditionally that has been the strength. Not just the characters. The dialogue writing in Dragon Age 1 and even Dragon Age 2 was elegant and beautiful and immersive, and it drew you into the world. And that started slipping with Veilguard. No, sorry, Inquisition. It's got a slip disc out of the gate in Veilguard, which is super disappointing, but the combat's good, the hair is good. There's a lot of purple. I love purple, but I don't know how I feel about all that purple as a background. And as like a save indicator and stuff like that. But they have little turret sequences. I dug out my Gears of War 3 shirt because I'm like, oh my God, I think Ray in the chat said, we're back in 2009. I'm like, Gears of War, because that's what it made me feel. Not that's a bad thing. I had fun with those sequences. But it is very action-y. It definitely feels more like a Horizon split of action gameplay. With RPG elements as opposed to, say, Baldur's Gate 3, which is a squad combat RPG. So, you can play that game more tactically. Here it's like there's squad commands and cooldowns, but you can't go in and control, you can't control the combat for your two companions. We'll see as the game opens up. Again, this is only the first 3 hours of the game that are my impressions. But someone gave me the money to do this, so I want to make sure the person gets their money's worth. So other people can say, hey, if I buy this game and chip in some extra too for your time, will you give me your honest impressions because I trust you? And I like this system. So help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. There's going to be a few people this week who are going to need them. And next week, coffee.com/LeannaK. But we're not talking about that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being cool this week. And have a great weekend.